Port-au-Prince main road. Since dawn, 250 families have been hurriedly tearing down their own houses. Everyone tries to save what they can of the few possessions they've gathered since the earthquake struck. A year on, and their world is rocked once again.
There are people at the town hall who say we have to leave, but I still don't know where I'm going to go. I still don't have a house.
Over the last few months, survivors of the disaster have been moved around the capital. No one stays for long, they're kicked out and have to pull down the temporary roofs over their heads for just a few dollars and the promise of a new home.
Don't destroy your house. Put your things back inside. You don't have another house. Are you going to sleep in the street? Stay where you are. They're coming to kick you out. Put your things back inside. It upsets me because they asked me to leave, but I don't know where to go.
These neighbors lived in the middle of the road. It's a dangerous setup, and 6 people have so far been crushed to death. The expulsions come as a relief for the local housing officers.
I already told Micheline that I'd ask for a new home for her. Isn't that so?
Yes, but...
It's not that. It's not that. Didn't I tell you that I'd rehouse you?
Yes.
Isn't that true? Are you trying to turn everyone against me? Yes or no? You must be nice to me, my sweet. Aren't I telling you the truth? I'm not forcing you. I'm not forcing you.
Go on, give him a hug. Say yes to it all.
I am your representative. I can't force you to lie. I'm going to find you a new home, my sweet, okay? Don't worry.
And in just a few moments, the little she owned is once again gone. All that's left is the uncertain promise of another home. A few hundred meters away, opposite the ruins of the presidential palace, nothing has changed since the 12th of January 2010. Those who call this refugee camp home live in poverty and destitution. It was set up as an emergency solution for those whose houses were destroyed in the earthquake. Habitable properties are now scarce in the city.
For me, it's not a problem of money. Everyone here is afraid of houses built out of concrete. They'd rather have somewhere with a corrugated iron roof, and that's not easy to find.
Earthquake-resistant construction is almost non-existent in Haiti. The massive presence of NGO staff has pushed up the price of housing, and so hundreds of thousands of disaster victims live in the street, away from the expense and the dangers of concrete. Hit by poverty and the aftermath of an earthquake, a cyclone and a cholera epidemic, Port-au-Prince fights to raise its head once again. Its people dream of reconstruction, but channeling the massive amount of aid it's received to this end is not easy. There's no land register, no administration, and none of the paperwork.
There, for example, is a house that's fallen down, but no one knows who it belongs to because there's no title document. There's a common law title where people tell you that such family has always lived there, so we can attribute the plot to them.
An inhabited plot marked in red. A sign that it's been officially found to be uninhabitable and is due to be torn down, along with the hotel next door.
Over there as well, you can see another house that's fallen down, but the owners are still there and have set up a temporary shelter with sheets of zinc.
What do you think?
I think that we can't wait on international aid or other aid before finding shelter. If you have the materials that you can recover, you do what you can. You make do.
3 million people live in Port-au-Prince. Every year, close to 150,000 people move there from outlying regions. Generally, once there, they build their houses on the marshes, gullies, and steep slopes of the mountains surrounding the city. Settlements that are both dangerous and illegal.
Here is a typical neighborhood that looks like the concrete districts of Port-au-Prince. There, the houses broke down, and the families began to clean out the debris they found inside. But they didn't carry on because they are scared. They don't have anyone to tell them how to do it.
Haiti's still covered in debris. NGO Oxfam says that only 5% of the country has been cleared. Only a few foreign and local businesses are interested in the job. The work's tiresome and less glamorous than constructing new buildings. It can be a thankless task. Most Haitians receive little or no payment for their efforts, so they live in the midst of the rubble, under canvas sheets where they keep the little they have. Here in Léogane, at the epicenter of where the earthquake struck, it's a precarious existence.
If they have to give us this crap, then we don't want it, because they want to rob and kill us. We don't want to sleep there.
Theft, rape, the feeling that the world's turned its back. The displaced suffer still. They say that all they've received from NGOs over the past year has been new tarpaulins. Patrick Robitaille says otherwise. He's been helping out here in Haiti for the last 6 months.
It's a camp where not everyone can find a place to set themselves up. It's either the tenants or the owners of the houses. We try to support them the best that we can, but you can't rebuild the houses because the land's still not been claimed by the owners, or we're having trouble finding the owners. They could be in France, in the US. It's a big problem here. How's it going? You doing well? Did it rain a lot recently? Did your tent get flooded? It's well covered, though. Not a problem.
Haitians welcomed the aid that came pouring in immediately after the disaster. But today they're looking towards the future, wondering how the money that hasn't been spent will be used to bring about the reconstruction.
If you spent the money here in the first year, that would only be on emergency aid, while the reconstruction of a country takes several years. Obviously, after 12 months, you can't help people deal with the trauma caused by an earthquake. We went through hurricane season, where it's even more complicated to build on. And on top of that, the cholera epidemic. And on top of that, the other problems and political violence. But even if the situation had all the best conditions, you cannot rebuild a country in a year.
90% of Léogane was destroyed in just 35 seconds. The survivors of this little neighborhood had to organize themselves at first. Max is a lawyer. He helped set up a citizens' assembly. They held out until the arrival of emergency aid and over 300 NGOs.
We planned our strategy together, but as time went by, more and more NGOs did as they pleased. And at that point, we were overwhelmed.
80% of the disaster victims of Léogane still live in this camp. With around 640 families crammed together, NGOs have built short-term shelters. But each organization moves at a different pace and works to a different plan.
There's no coordination, no common plan. The result is all over the place. That's why there are so many houses next to the cane fields. And over there, I don't know what they're building. There are small houses and shelters next to each other. There's no harmony at all. And it's a big mess.
The problem of coordination is not the only thing slowing down the reconstruction of the country. The absence of government is also a sore point for many Haitians.
The government failed. The President of the Republic, the Prime Minister, the ministers, none delivered results. If we continue this way, we're heading towards an abyss.
It's a point of view shared by much of the capital. Camille Chalmers is a Haitian economist and sociologist. His organization researches alternative methods of development.
No one's ever considered the Haitian people capable of taking care of themselves, of being able to carve out their own path. So the fundamental hypothesis is that we are incapable, we are corrupt, so we've got to be shown the way. forced into democracy. So we put in place processes, modernization processes. That depends on the ICRH, the Interim Reconstruction Committee for Haiti. And this itself is an obstacle. It's a substitute for the Haitian state rather than a reinforcement of it. We really don't have the participation of the Haitian people in the rebuilding of its own forces, of its ideas, of its creativity, in the processes of its reconstruction.
Because of a lack of space and the need for urgency, this commission, jointly run by ex-US President Bill Clinton and the Haitian Prime Minister, is based in a tent in the gardens of governmental offices. Here, around 60 Haitian and foreign employees manage the huge flow of international aid coming in and give the green light to reconstruction projects.
We're aware of the people's impatience. We see and live this situation every day. A huge amount has been done to move the cleanup forward, but as you can see, there's still an enormous amount of work left to be done. Unfortunately, projects that don't attract investors' money to be rebuilt have to be cleared away. There's also the problem of financing the $6 billion, which includes the reduction of debt promised by different financial backers at the New York conference. Only about 63% of that has been received.
Despite these obstacles, the ICRH has looked over 350 reconstruction projects and approved 76. But that's still too few and too slow for donors and survivors.
It's worth the wait, because with this reconstruction plan, we want to rebuild better than before. And we want to rebuild in a way that'll last. Because Haiti's on a fault, and we are prone to all kinds of catastrophes, be it floods, cyclones, or another earthquake.
A year on, and there's been little visible progress in the country. Only a few dozen temporary camps like this one have been set up. In the end, this is where Micheline is sent. At first, she's happy to have left her dangerous old home behind her. Then she sees what's in store. No toilet, no water, no electricity, just a basic shack made of plywood. A fragile shelter that offers little refuge from the hardships of the ravaged city.